Well, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in this world looking at this podcast. We hope you stay right to the end. And just a wee reminder, if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, that'd be great. And if you can like and share our content, that'd be equally as good. Right, what are we into? I suppose over the weekend, or the last couple of weeks, Scotland have played a couple of friendlies, lost both 1-0, but Glenn, they're just ordinary, friendly games to fix out the team. Were the fans right to boo the result?
I never think it's okay to boo. You're there to support them. You might not actually agree with the way they set the team up, how many minutes the players got. Like, I was personally disappointed that we never saw the guy, Andy Irvine. We never really saw Lennon Miller. I thought these would be good opportunities. But he's got his reasons to, for what he's doing. You don't want to make too many changes. And he probably wanted to see other players first. And I'm assuming that he brought the likes of Irvine in so they could actually be around the squad, get used to it. They've got 2 more friendlies, I think, to come up as well. So there's still plenty of time. The fans are probably coming from the point of view of like, oh my God, this is a bit ominous. We were on a bit of a run like this before the Euros. It was horrendous, etc. We need to start winning games. But bear in mind, Japan are like dark horses. They're quite high in the FIFA rankings. I think they're 15th or something. They played well. Look, when the 3 boys came into to Celtic, they lifted Celtic. The skill level they've got is something else. They went on to beat England. That's a decent result for them. They're tipped to go deep into the World Cup as well, the quarterfinal. And as for Ivory Coast are full of quality as well. You have to realise what we are. We're missing some of our best players. Now, we all know we're quite blunt without Doak. Doak's not there. We will be a different side with Doak. A lot of people are moaning about the lack of like strikers we have and all that kind of stuff. But I think there has to be a realisation that there haven't been any decent strikers in Scotland, in the Scotland national team for a long time. Our goals come from midfield. We need people to hold the ball up, to work their backsides off, contribute the goals when they can, but they're there essentially to feed McTominay, to feed McGinn, etc. Sometimes Kenny McLean, and that's where we create chances from. So getting back to the point, wrong to boo. Understand why though.
Chris, what do you think? People are paying good money, and I think, personally speaking, I think it's not they're booing the team. I think they're booing the manager for some of the reasons Glenn outlined there. He's not playing players that should have a shot at this. He's relying on the same old players, and that we know how they play and we know how they what positions they're in. So, is it about frustration with the fans, and is it maybe it's a realisation by a lot of the fans that when we go to America in the World Cup, we're in for a hiding?
Well, I mean, I'll be honest. I caught myself booing a couple of times at the telly, but I could keep that to myself. I wasn't watching it in the porch, so I mean, you can't understand why fans are booing. It was 2 games. No goals, saved by the crossbar a few times, and the post saved them. But I don't think there was enough. There wasn't enough. I didn't see enough new stuff getting in. And I do understand. Glenn mentioned just bedding the guys into the squad. So some guys will have come 5, 6, 7 times without even getting on the park. But time's definitely running out. So I think we should have been a bit more gung ho, if you want. Yes. I mean, that might be the word. Gung ho, because it's a friendly, they don't really matter. And one thing I'd like to sort of contrast it against is you're looking at, well, okay, we didn't do well in a couple of friendlies, but look at Italy, look at Denmark, look at Poland, look at all the Celtic nations.
Yes.
You can say it was that Belarus helped us out fine, whatever. We took our chances and we did. So, it was underwhelming, I'll be honest, and we should have blooded more young guys. I feel Finlay Curtis, but I don't know if he's going to be a backup for Doak as far as pace goes. But I wasn't massively impressed, but I wasn't massively surprised either. I mean, Carlo Ancelotti's saying his biggest headache is he's got too many world-class players. So I don't and he managed Everton. I don't think what we saw at Everton that night would have scared Carlo Ancelotti. So temper the expectations.
I think that's right. But Glenn, it's obvious from the caps awarded to Lyndon Dykes, he's reached 50, right?
Mm-hmm.
It might be he's reached that amount because of, Steve Clarke's intransigence of blooding new players into the team and getting new players, even if they're young players. Because you can look at England and say, well, Cole Palmer and Foden, they've been given their chance. It's very difficult for them, I know, but you must give them their chance. But he doesn't do that. He's not that kind of manager. And, if you compare that with somebody like, I was looking at something online, Jim Baxter got 28 or 30 caps and Lyndon Dykes on 50, Do you think if Lyndon Dykes was a player back in Jim Baxter's day, he'd be anywhere near that Scotland team?
No, he wouldn't. But half the team wouldn't be. Let's face it. We had, if you go back in time, we had relatively pound for pound a much better team as far as like in comparison to other countries in the world. We qualified for 5 World Cups in a row. We didn't get to the World Cup out of the group stages, etc. But we every 4 years we were there, kind of thing. So yeah, we had better players back then. You can argue now that probably we've got 2 top class players in that team, and that's McTominay and McGinn. McGinn not always, but yeah, so he wouldn't get it. But it's a different world now. To be honest, as well, if you brought those players forward, they couldn't compete either now because it's much more athletic as well. They couldn't compete with the physical demands. Players play a lot more games, even at international level. That's why Dykes has got all those caps. So he's gained those caps, 50 caps in 6 years, I think it is.
Yeah,
around about 2020 is when he came onto the scene, and he's amassed a lot. But he's also amassed it a lot for a reason. He is an easy target. Okay, you think back though. He's the guy that scored the crucial goal. I think it was against Israel. He's the guy that got the goal, the toe poke against Norway that turned things around away from home when he just stretched. And in the same game, he's the guy that laid the ball off 2 minutes later to Kenny McLean. He does a hell of a lot, and it's that kind of work that makes him get picked by Steve Clarke, because he doesn't score the goals, but he does hold the ball up, and midfielders can play off him.
Glenn, the only thing I can say to that is that he's now playing for Charlton Athletic and he's not getting a game. He's on the subs bench. So should he be picked on current form or his experience from the past? And I think a lot of the Tartan Army are saying it's current form. He needs to get playing more. He needs to be regular. And it goes with the goalkeeper as well, because he played Liam Kelly. My goodness, Glenn, I was spitting feathers. You get John McCracken, or you get somebody in, if it's a friendly game and you're not worried about losing, because that's what you said at the end of the game, Steve Clarke, put these guys in. Try them out. Give them a cap.
He put Bain in. He put Bain in for the second half. And Bain did well.
But why didn't Bain play the whole game? He's playing in nets all the time. Okay,
Norrie, listen. Here you go. Imagine this, okay? Imagine he puts he puts in Kelly in for the for the whole 90 minutes, and Bain doesn't get his chance, okay? And then he doesn't get his chance until just before the World Cup, or the other way around. He wants to look at both keepers. He's a manager. He's been doing it for long enough, kind of thing. I know we disagree on a lot of things, but Kelly's not getting run out. He wants to see how he's playing. Okay, so he gives him 45 minutes. And then he puts on Bain. And I tell you what, walking away from these games, Bain's done himself a world of good. He's, in my eyes, he's jumped above Kelly. They played the same match, like for like. You've seen them, and I think most people will look at that and say, like, all right, okay, so we give Bain another chance, and let's just see whether Bain is the one that starts one of these friendlies as opposed to Kelly. We can't second guess him.
No, but Glenn, always remember, I'm just the guy that's asking questions. I'm not attacking you, mate. I know. But Chris, what did you? Were you shouting your head off when Liam Kelly was introduced as a goalkeeper, and you thought, well, what's the point? He's not even playing the first team at Rangers. He's a reserve goalie.
I mean, it's obviously just talking to Steamy and all the rest of it, but I've heard a few anecdotes about his attitude, and if these guys aren't getting picked week in, week out, they either strive to play for another team or they take the money. But that the one where it come off the post and he's just lying there, I just thought, see, even at 5-a-sides, you'd be making your way back towards the ball. You would at least be doing that. And what happened after that is anybody's guess. But maybe he played him just to prove a point. And
maybe
Bain did okay, acquitted himself well. What I don't like about Bain is he doesn't have the height really and the presence. But out of the three of them just now, I think he's definitely the strongest. But I think he had to play Kelly. There's no point. When are you ever going to? If he's not playing for his club, when are you ever actually going to see him playing then?
Well, Xander Clark's playing for Doncaster Rovers. Why is he not there then?
Sorry.
But what I'm saying is, if he's in the squad, then
if it's in the squad. But my question is, Chris, why is he in the squad?
I mean, I couldn't answer that, to be honest. I just don't. I don't think his application's up there, and I think he's just coasting out at Rangers, and that's, to me, that isn't healthy. It's just it's not. I've said it before. If you're a centre forward and you miss a chance, 2 minutes later you'll get another chance, and how many people actually remember that at the end of the game? But if you're the keeper that makes a mistake, and as well, you need a solid keeper. That's how Scotland was a good, Leighton, Miller, McLeish. They knew what everybody else was going to do, and
that's right.
He's not a solid keeper, and I don't, he's not going to become what he was in 6 months. That's just not going to happen.
No. Glenn doesn't think it's right to boo the team. What about you, with the fans, travelling fans? Do you think they were right to boo? And is it just a sense of frustration and not knowing what the manager's doing?
Oh, I mean, I remember going down to Craven Cottage, and I'm watching him play in Nigeria. I'm sure I booed a wee bit then as well, but I just don't think we were clinical enough. And what scares me is that we went out in a whimper. It got us to the Euros too, but we went out in a whimper against Hungary, and then just no turning it on. So I'd much rather go out in an attacking blaze of glory. And I think they were just seeing, the sort of repetition of the Euros and just no really trying hard enough for the goal, no attacking enough, and just not really penetrating. I think that's maybe why the fans took the hump.
I think, Glenn, there was memories of the Euros in Germany when we did play teams above us. We came out severely lacking.
Yeah, I mean, the fans have, it's not even long memories; it's short memories for that one. I mean, I was there, and it was fairly horrendous. But it's just a general thing with me. I mean, I don't boo. I mean, God knows I've got enough opportunities to boo Aberdeen, but I don't. And and it's the same. I don't think it helps anything, and I get the frustration. I don't actually think the SFA have helped the situation either by actually playing the match in Liverpool. That just, to me, I know they're saying that. It's easier for the Ivory Coast, but really, I mean, is there much difference between Liverpool and Glasgow as far as they're concerned? I don't think so. The fans have to go down there, and there was lots of hassle with the tickets and all that kind of stuff. So some will be frustrated anyway, just with the general situation. It was a better performance against Ivory Coast than it was against Japan. I think we need to write these friendlies off. We want them to do well. We want them to win, but we have to accept. He's using this time to try and get the squad together. I mean, he said it's a 55-man squad initially. Yeah.
Well, is that not staff? Is that squad and staff? Is it?
Yeah. Well, there you go. But anyway, it's 55 people he has to put together. Okay. And then all you're going to whittle down. He's got a very good idea. There's, as far as the players are concerned, there's probably 20 players that have got a really, really solid chance of making that, unless they do something really bad or they get injured, etc. But the rest, every other one is playing for it, and he's trying to leave it as wide open as possible. And it kind of goes against him not giving minutes, but I think he'll give minutes later on. I think he's a very gradualist kind of like manager. Euro 2020, Billy Gilmore. So he just introduced him just before the tournament. Now everybody, they've been screaming out for him. But the way he likes to manage the players, etc. And you can say, with that one, he got it bang on because Gilmour came in just before he got included in the squad, played against England, man of the match. Unfortunately, got injured. If he had an injury, he might have actually picked it up in 3 or 4 friendlies beforehand. You don't know. But he definitely got it right with his introduction with Gilmour. And look, I've criticised him a lot. He's got favourites, and like Ralston just does my head in. Nothing against Ralston personally, but he's at fault for so many things. Porteous should never be near a Scotland squad again. Thankfully, we've not heard his name for a while. But he was for a wee while. He was loyal to him as well. So I think we just have to.
That's the problem, Glenn. A lot of us think that Steve Clarke thinks he's a charity manager. He looks after players that have got broken wings at their clubs, so you'll tender them and give them a shot at Scotland. And the thing is, what I don't like about the Steve Clarke position is he doesn't stay in Scotland. He doesn't watch the games in Scotland. And when you watch games, you can see off the ball. It's all very well watching videos, but that's only what the camera allows you to see. If you're at a match, like Thomas Tuchel goes to every English match, everyone that he can get to. Steve Clarke doesn't go to every Scotland match. And I think that's a travesty. I'll bring Chris back in at this point. Chris, we didn't score any goals in those 2 matches. That highlights a really serious problem for us, doesn't it? That we can't penetrate and we don't know how to break down defences.
Aye, well, I mean, obviously the post saved McTominay getting a goal, but 2 games and 0 goals. The new without Doak, I mean, he's obviously an outlet. So the new without him, I think it's a bit lacking there. What I would say is I hope never to see Dykes and Che Adams on the same pitch at the same time. I just think they're really, really similar players, and I don't see why having two big men. I think Dykes is a slightly better player. But I mean, obviously, Adams is playing in Italy. But I hope not to see them. But we're lackluster at the minute, and we're not penetrating. But I keep going back to it. I mean, there's so many teams in Europe. A lot of the Celtic teams are just they would love to be us. But just one particular point. What do you think about Hanley no featuring at all?
I think his time's up. To be honest, I think He's sluggish. He's getting on in years, and I think he's prone to a lot of errors because he's lost that yard. At this level, we need speedy defenders that can go and attack and close down. I don't think he's got that. He's a good header of the ball. He'll join the line, but if you hit the ball behind him, he's slow, and that's where I suspect we need a higher caliber of player. So that's my opinion on that one. I think there's better. I think we should have better. Aaron Hickley, I think if he's fit, I think he's an amazing player for Scotland. And I think there's don't be too hard on people like Anthony Ralston because he's a good pro. He is a good pro, and he's played at the highest level. He's got nerves of steel. He can handle the occasion. He might lack a bit of quality, but sometimes to bring on a guy like that in the last 10 minutes to shore things up, maybe against Haiti, he might be a really good option for us, My opinion, simply my opinion. I can see.
Sorry, very, very expressive face. But I recall conversations we had around about the Euros, and I remember you not being keen on Ralston. Yeah, he's played the highest level. He hardly gets a game, hardly plays for Celtic. And playing at the highest level, he is committed really, really well. He's made huge errors for Scotland. I'm not personally slagging him off, okay? It's not his fault. He doesn't get a game week in, week out. Yes, he's a good pro. He gets a lot of abuse, and this is not abuse. I just don't think he should be playing for Scotland at that level. He's fourth choice, I think, at Celtic.
Yeah, to be honest, Glenn, I think if he got to move away from Celtic and start afresh at a new club, he'd have a great chance. And I don't care if it's Kilmarnock or any other club in the SPL. Would you take him Aberdeen? Maybe yes, I maybe would. But Devlin's there already, and who's best? I don't know. They're probably one and the same. But
I would agree because I remember Ralston breaking through into the Celtic team when he was young, and I thought, he's got a lot of potential, but he's been relegated to the bench all the time. You look at Bain. So for quite a wee while, he was like the third choice goalkeeper at Celtic. And eventually he said, "Oh, that's enough. I've had enough of it. I want to play." And he went up to Falkirk, and he's reinvigorated himself. He said because he was thinking about stopping and doing his coaching badges, and now he's like thinking, "Well, I've got a chance to win a World Cup. I've got to play for Scotland again. I've had a good season with Falkirk." He's really happy, and he's getting game time. You only improve.
That's
it's
the
just,
thing.
you have to play a fair, but you can't play every game. You can't play every minute. But if you're only getting on 5 minutes, if you're a season pro and you're only getting 5 minutes off the bench every second or third game, it is time to move.
Well, I agree. Chris, Celtic are in a bad way. They're leaking goals all over the place, and they refuse to play a guy like Ralston. Maybe that tells us more about Ralston. He's down the pecking order, but maybe it's because they don't have Ralston that they're losing all these goals and they're getting hammered.
Well, I mean, I do like the look of Stramash, that Uruguayan. He's a great. But Araujo as well. I mean, he came up for, was it Brent Bournemouth, I think it was, and he wasn't fancied, and he's just.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely Araujo is, there's every chance he'll get sent off fairly sometime soon. So I think these guys have got a bit
more.
Ralston came out. I mean, I remember the story. Ralston was running about a public park, thinking, is he going to make it? Is it going to happen? So these guys have got a serious drive. But Araujo and Sarachi, obviously Tierney as well. They've just got a lot. They'll take players on with confidence. Ralston can sometimes do that, but in the modern game, that's what you need to be now. You need to beat players, and the defending's nearly an afterthought, to be honest. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that's the way it's going, and Celtic's no different. So I think he should be further down, but it comes back to it's match fitness, and you can train as much as you want, but it doesn't matter who you are. You need to be involved in competitive games, and a treadmill, that's not going to cut it. Not at all.
Yeah, I remember playing rugby, and I had my knee operated on. It took me 6 weeks to recover, and I went back to training. Training's all very well, but the physical contact, you have to get used to again. And you have to, you're off the shoulder, drop the shoulder, running. All these kind of things you forget, and you've got to get match time to remember what a player you used to be before your injury, and then before you go into the pitch again. It's impossible for a player. Maybe goalies are a bit different, but players have to play week in, week out to get that muscle memory, brain memory, how to win games and how to play games and how to make the moves and who's running off the ball, what pass can I make, etc., etc. At the end of the day, as both of you have alluded, we're in the World Cup. We don't care. So I was watching the Denmark game on penalties, and I thought they didn't get through on penalties, and I thought, you were the ones who were gloating and really bad-mouthing Scotland because on paper we played the better game, blah-de, blah-de, blah. A lot of sour grapes, Glenn. Not that unhappy that Denmark are no in the World Cup after how they treated Scots.
I mean, I feel sorry for the Danish fans, etc., but I don't feel sorry for the Danish manager. Yeah, he said that if you look at the data, if you look at the stats, if you look at everything, we were the better team, etc. I was going, well, but you weren't. You lost 4-2. And you're making a point earlier about us not being able to take chances, not being able to score, etc. But we did. We scored in that game, but it mattered. We scored 4, and we got 1 from a striker, and we got 3 from midfielders. And it's been the story of Scotland for a long time. If the midfielders don't play, then we don't play. And he messed around a little bit with the midfield as well. So I think we'll get a better idea come June. Before we go, when we finish the last 2 friendlies, and I think they're trying to arrange one maybe just before the tournament. We'll see how that goes, But there's loads. I mean, with the friendlies, okay. So we're all getting down because we never scored, But look, Spain drew 0-0 with Egypt. Canada drew 2-2 with Iceland. Belgium thumped, Canada's a host and they're looking to do well. America's a host and they got thumped 5-2. Prior to this match, America were saying that they were going to go deep. They were going to, this is going to be their tournament. They thought they were the 6th best country in the world. It got thumped 5-2 by Belgium. Then they got beat by Portugal. So look, there's loads. South Korea got horsed 4-0 by the Ivory Coast, and then they lost their next game as well, and they're going to the World Cup. So there's lots of companies right now going, oh, this is not quite right, and they're trying different things. We're still far away from it. I think we just need to calm the horses.
I think you're right on that. Careful note at the end, Glenn. I think I agree with you. Just need to calm down and wait till how this all pans out. It's another two friendlies to go. We'll get a better picture of who's playing. Maybe Craig Gordon will be back from injury at that point. I don't know. And we'll see how he is between the sticks, and that might give the defence a bit of confidence. I don't know. We'll wait and see. The other thing I've got to mention this, and we'll just cover it quickly. Hearts are at the top of the league, and their fans are getting a bit jittery, right? And I was watching a podcast the other day, and they're worried about the split. They're thinking that when it gets drawn out, they'll be away to Celtic and away to Rangers, which will give them advantage, and that's not right. But because of the way the SPL, SFPL, and all the rest of it works, they think there's going to be bias, and they're really worried. I'll bring Chris in at this point. Chris, do you think that the Hearts fans have got in to be moaning about or be worried about?
Well, I think it's good that they're in a position to be worrying about these things rather than having all the players injured that they had. So that's commendable there. Well, I mean, as far as I understand, it kicks in the 34th game, and normally you'll have either played 17 or 16 home games at that point, and that decides how many home games you're going to get. But I think both Rangers and Motherwell have played 17 at home. So then you go, well, what's going to happen there? The Celtic have played 16, so they'll just about definitely play Celtic at Celtic Park. But yeah, I mean, it's good they're worrying about that. But I genuinely believe McInnes when he says, look, the psychology and all the rest of it, just turn up. And I genuinely, I think he's calmed down a bit. And I think if I was a Hearts fan, if you're good enough, you'll win it, honestly. And it'll be all the sweeter if you feel as if there's been some injustice, I would say. So they were good enough to beat Celtic and Rangers up to the split, so why shouldn't it be?
It's Glenn, I just think it's the Hearts fans are a bag of nerves right now.
They are, yeah.
And rightly so. But it's nerves and it's excitement as well of what could happen, could possibly happen. Do you think this is something that the club are trying to promote? Let's play the victim here, and let's get the support, and let's feel wounded so that they might spur them on.
I've not seen it come out of no noise is coming out from Tynecastle itself, other than the fans, So I don't think the club are doing anything. I mean, let's face it. I mean, every team in the top six is in the same position, basically. Same as the bottom six. Because let's face it, it's going to be an issue for them as well, and obviously us. But you could argue, and I'm sure Celtic will argue this, that Hearts and Rangers are fortunate that they've played. They're where they are just now, and they've actually played 17 home matches, whereas Celtic have only played 16. Yeah. So they've got a bit of advantage, and whatever comes in the top six is just the equalising of that advantage. How you work it out is a bit different. I've seen different connotations. Apparently, to take derbies into account and who they played, etc., they think that Hearts away games will be at Celtic Park and at Easter Road. But that means they've got Rangers. But that means they've got Rangers at home. And maybe Motherwell or Falkirk. I mean, it's going to work out every year. There's always these connotations, etc. And this is the first time Hearts have ever cared about it. Why? Because they're in the mix. Isn't it good to be in the mix?
That's right.
It's where you want to be. It will be as fair as it can be.
Yeah, well, the thing about the split was that there's two teams that are definitely going to always be at the top, right? Celtic and Rangers, because of the finances. And all the other teams are fighting and trying to get into the top six so they can get games with them to increase their bank balance. It's a money talk system. It's money incentivized to get into the top six. You get more money for it. But I tell you what, Hearts would give up all that money if they could just play somebody at the bottom. But then we've seen from the English leagues and German leagues, the teams at the bottom are fighting just as hard to stay in the league. So they'll put up a bigger fight against you as well, maybe. So be careful what you ask for and what you wish for, I think. But again, I think it's just Hearts fans getting a bit edgy. That's all. That's it. If we move on a wee bit, Glenn, we're looking at the women's football, and that
would you want a quiz question?
Oh, we did the quiz. I forgot.
We're almost
Aye,
almost
come on.
halfway through. So I'll give you a couple of questions, okay?
Right.
Kind of World Cup themed, oddly enough. Start with an easy one. Which nation is currently the lowest ranked country participating at this year's World Cup? By FIFA ranking.
Oh, that's a good question.
It's not us. Clue.
No. It's
Haiti.
not Haiti, is it? It's not Haiti.
It actually is, guys. We have got the lowest. Yeah, this is a feel-good quiz. We have got the lowest ranked country in our group, and we play them first. What could go wrong?
Because we're not the underdog, Glenn.
Costa Rica.
I know. Do you want the second question?
All right, go on, second question.
Okay. Right.
Who's the second?
Okay. 4-time world champions Italy became the first former winners of the tournament to miss 3 consecutive installments of the competition.
Yeah.
But who hosted the 2 previous World Cups that they failed to qualify for? So obviously they missed out in America.
Yeah.
But which 2 countries hosted the last 2 World Cups?
Qatar. They missed that one, didn't they? And the one before that was in World Cups. Chris, any ideas?
I was going to say France, but I'm just going back to my World Cup memories.
Yeah, France. France.
You both going France, yeah?
Aye.
No, Russia.
Oh, Russia. My brother was saying, man, I should have got that. Yeah,
it's amazing how quickly you forget, though, you know?
I know, but if I thought my brother was over there, damn. That's a good question, Glenn, when you're cursing you, the quizmaster, because you should have got it, but it was that just dangling away, you can't reach it. Good questions. Can we move on to the women's football then? Because this is exciting. There'll be a lot of people watching the show thinking, women's football, but give them a chance and have a look. If you've got any worries and got any inhibitions about watching women's football, tune into BBC Alba and watch it like I did, because then you'll be thoroughly entertained. The passing, the silky moves, the speed of some of the players, it is fantastic. And there's a big, huge it's an excitement time now, Glenn, isn't it? Because at the top of the league, Glasgow City, you would have thought we're on a good run until lowly Hibs beat them. But they came off the back of winning a trophy. But the league is now it's shaky for them, isn't it?
As well, I mean, it's tighter. At one point, Glasgow City looked like they were not running away with it, but they had a decent lead. Yeah. And then, I mean, they won the cup. They beat Rangers at the weekend. That's fantastic. And then they had a midweek fixture, probably exhausted from the cup final weekend. They lost to Hibs 1-0. And suddenly, it's all really, really tight. So City is sitting on 50, Hearts on 49. Now, by the way, Hibs, we're saying they're a bit lowly, but last year Hibs were the champions. So they've got quality in their team as well, you know. Yeah, Rangers are 2 points behind. They're on 48. Celtic are on 46. They've moved into their split now. So their split's different from the men's. They play 22 matches, and then they split top 6, bottom 6. And they then play each other home and away for the remaining matches, which I think is really quite good. The reason they don't do it in the men's game because of the revenue. You alluded to it before, Nori, about they want as many Old Firm games as possible, blah, blah, blah. But on this one, this weekend on Sunday, Glasgow City are playing Hearts, first versus second. Yeah. And then on the Monday, and that's on BBC, so you can watch it on Council TV. And then on the Monday, you've got the Old Firm derby, third versus fourth. It's amazing. And between them, there's only 4 points. It's a really, really wide open title championship, and there's a lot of quality there.
Celtic have got 46 and Glasgow City have 50. It's 4 points in between them. That is nothing, and it could change depending who wins.
They all have to play each other, home and away.
Yeah. Well, my heart's with Glasgow City. I've got to say.
Same here.
I just love watching them, just because of the spirit of them, and they're not affiliated to one of these big clubs with all the money. Do you know what I mean? They're no, come on, Glasgow City. What's your prediction, Glenn? What do you think is going to happen? Do you who would, if you had my fiver, who would you put it on?
I'd put in City.
So would I.
I think midweek it was a bit of a blip. I think they were tired from the cup final, etc. Look, they've got a lot of experience in the squad. They've built well again. They came second last year to Hibs. They're always there or thereabouts. They've handled the pressure of Celtic and Rangers because they've been pouring money in, but they've found their way. They've got their own income coming in as well. They've got to stay in Europe. They're really going to fight for it. I think Hearts. So I mean, my kids. Robert used to play football for the primary school. One of the lasses that used to play in the same team as him she's now one of their strikers, you know.
Oh, wow.
And she's 23 and she's doing really well. They've got a lot of quality, but they haven't won anything before, really. Hearts.
No.
So I think this is going to be maybe a little bit too much for them. They haven't got the same kind of like a squad depth. I think City will win at the weekend. I think Celtic and Rangers might take points of each other, and there'll be a little bit of a gap again. But it's going to be great fun to watch.
I think you're right. I think Glasgow City have got the pedigree. They've got the experience of these positions. They've won the league before, and I think there'll be too much for Glasgow. Is it a home game for Glasgow?
It is, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, home game.
And it's at Petershill.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where they're still playing, yeah.
I don't know if they moved to Airdrie's ground or they're still at Petershill. Anyway, I think I'm exactly with you. I think they'll beat Hearts, and I think Rangers and Celtic will draw. They'll take points off each other.
Celtic are at home for that one, but yeah.
Yeah, and then I think you're right. And then once that gap appears, I think they'll move on from it. They'll gain confidence from it and increase it. If you want to watch that, so I'm not advertising another TV station or channel, but BBC Alba do a good job on reporting on these things, and it's good fun. Watch it if you can. Moving on, what else have we got? I suppose because it's 1836, we'll better get on with the predictions and go through what's happening in the Scottish League. Aberdeen, it looks like, Glenn, Chris, that we're in a battle. Stephen Robinson's already said it, and the players have already said it. This is a relegation struggle they're in now, and it's their own fault. Do you honestly see them going down, Glenn?
I see the possibility, yeah. It really depends how they react. I think, he's right. He's absolutely spot on. We are definitely in the mix for that relegation playoff. Results went against us last time. We didn't perform. 4-1 defeat to Rangers, and then the teams just directly below us, they both picked up wins. You wouldn't think that, you're thinking that Falkirk will win their game, and obviously Killie did well. So it's distinctly possible. Robinson's been in this position before, when he took over both St Mirren and took over Motherwell. He got off to slow starts, but he got enough points to guide him to 9th and to 10th, and they stayed out of it by about 3 or 4 points. He's got less time to do that with Aberdeen, but I think it all comes down to the mentality of the Aberdeen players. Will they respond to what he wants? He can't take anybody in, so all he can do is either recall young players who will play with no fear, or get something out of this bunch of players that no one else has been able to get so far. The crucial thing is, right, so if you look back, ever since they introduced the playoff in the top flight in Scotland, 38 points has been enough to guarantee you don't do it.
Right.
That doesn't mean it will be this season, but that's what history tells you. So we are 8 points away from that. So this match against St Mirren at the weekend is the biggest match of the season. It's the cup final. If you win it, it's huge. It's absolutely huge. You start something. I think we've got Hibs after that, and you can build on it, etc. If you lose this game, it's almost disaster. I mean, because the Aberdeen players have not shown themselves to be very resilient this last season and a half. They've crumbled on many occasions, and you can see them spiraling here. And then, would you fancy them in a playoff against the second place team in the championship? Not really. No. I've been watching some of the Friday night football, and I'm telling you, some of these teams, even Morton, I've seen them playing silky, good attacking football.
And I think that's something that Aberdeen would be really difficult to punish. Chris, as Glenn said, there's St Mirren are on 27, Aberdeen are on 30. If St Mirren win this game, it's a home game and it's a tough place to go and get a result. Celtic and Rangers will both tell you that, going down to Paisley. If St Mirren win this game, that brings Aberdeen right into the melting pot, doesn't it?
Aye, I mean that's my short answer to that. But obviously there'll be a wee bit of niggle between St Mirren and Stephen Robinson. You know, they were roughly in the same position, and they left them and said that the usual manager's nonsense. Oh, it's good to come to a bigger team and all that. So that'll obviously be part. You know, that'll be in all the posters in the dressing room. So that'll be that there. But I mean you're talking about if Aberdeen go to the playoffs. I mean, essentially Dunfermline was a playoff, and we saw what happened there for the first 15 minutes. They thought, they'll get a goal and gradually take control of the game, and then they lost one. And so, yeah, I mean, if I was Aberdeen, I would rightly fear the playoffs and just try and get out by hook, because it's not about being bigger, clever at this point in the league. It's just literally, as I say, league reconstruction. We'll park that at the moment, but just, bomb threats, anything. I've got a phone there ready. I've got a stereo phone. But just, yeah, and I think they sold that guy Nielsen. They were able to sell him, is that right?
Yeah, he's gone. Yeah.
Dr. Nielsen, is that because he's Scandinavian? They were able to do that through the window? There was a window, was there?
I'm not sure what. I think it was a mutual
right.
Get out the club kind of thing. You're rubbish.
Well, yeah, but I think, it was because the transfer window there is still open.
Right. I mean, it wasn't rated at the start, but I think it was gradually getting better, and obviously he was a battler. But yeah, there's a massive fight. There's a massive fight on, and I mean, if I was Stephen Robinson, the ideology I would use is you really don't want to be in those playoffs, and leave it at that.
Yeah. The thing I think, Glenn, is that Kilmarnock are on the way up. They've been playing really good football. They beat Hearts recently, and they've been winning their games against Livingston. And Neil McCann's got a settled team. He's getting a tune out of them. Yeah. If they're on the way up and Aberdeen are on the way down, that means they have to win tomorrow. But they've got Hibs. Hibs can do us a favour, I hope. They're away to Hibs, I know. But I honestly, from the podcast, Aberdeen Football Fans podcast all over the place, they're absolutely convinced Aberdeen are going down the way they're playing. There's no way out of this unless Robinson can get them fitter and playing a system that they've got time to get used to. And most fans don't think he's got time, and that's a problem.
Well, I'm not convinced at all they're going down. I think he has got time. The international break came at the right time. Yeah. Honestly, we had you want that. You don't ever want Rangers to beat you 4-1, okay? But if you could have one result before you have an extended time with the team, it's that one, because that showed Robinson exactly what he was dealing with, okay? Because we've at various points in the season we're flatter to deceive, etc., and there's been some okay performances or individualistic ones where you think, actually, he looks okay, and he's put this in. But they were so flat in that game, and he was angry when he came out, and it's taken him only a couple of games to realise what he's got to do. And he's luckily Aberdeen, we've got no real internationals away apart from some of the young boys, so he's had most of the time to play, to train with him. Okay, he's expecting a reaction. He said that what's been going on in the training has been positive, and he thinks it's going to be good. So. Let's see. You made a very good point about Killie. I think they won their last 2 games. They've turned it around. St Mirren still have a temporary manager in place. Now we know that. We know this situation. We have had that for 2 months, and that's cost us. We were something like, I think, 12 points away from the playoff place when we got rid of the boy Thielen. And then we didn't do anything for 2 months. We just sat around and let Leven try to do what he could do, and we've just spiraled. Now, if we win in Saturday, this could be one of those things whereby it just snuffs out St Mirren's buoyancy. They have an inexperienced manager, Okay,
Yeah.
and I don't know. He might be fantastic. I just don't know anything about him really. Okay, so he stepped up. He could be brilliant. He might not be. He might not know how to handle the situation. He might not know how to get a result of it. But this is almost like make or break. I think it has to be a fighting performance. We've got Geiger in there. I think he is going to really
Yeah.
help because
I
he's
hope
got a
so.
lot of fight in him. He's got a lot. He's technical. He's spirited. He can drive the team forward. Nielsen's gone, but I mean Nielsen and Shinnie were a bad combination. I
Yeah,
think
they were.
Geiger and Shinnie used occasionally, kind of thing, less and less. That's good. You need a bit of youth in the midfield as well, technical ability. We've got that, but you need someone hard as nails in there. You know,
Yeah,
I mean
you
the worry
do.
is they've got Gogic, and I mean I think he's got 10 yellow cards this season already. We've got to be up for this fight because they are going to be physical. They will be up for it. But if we do it. If we actually put in a proper performance, if Nisbet shows up and he works his socks off, he doesn't want to have his name down as his first, as a member of the first team to get relegated in Aberdeen's 123-year history. No, none of them do. Some of them haven't got the fight, but I think Nisbet has. He's a proper professional.
Yeah, he has.
We need a spine. We need him to operate. I'm very worried about the keeper. Oh my
So
God!
am I.
I don't know. Mitov will still be in goal, I think, and he's just a liability. His distribution is horrendous. You know. But anyway, we'll see. Let's see what reaction he gets. It has to be good.
Well, Chris, is it a given that Livingston are going down? There's no way back for them. They're on 15 points. Kilmarnock are on 27. We can write them off, can't we? So it's a dogfight between. And Dundee look to be playing really good football. I don't think they're in any bother. I'd be really confident of them surviving any relegation fears. But Aberdeen, St Mirren and Kilmarnock. In terms of Aberdeen, I often find that when we sold Leighton Clarkson, I think we went downhill. We had no creative midfielder connecting to the forwards after we got rid of him. I think that was a bad move. And I think Cormac, the chairman, has made so many bad moves over the years that we still haven't got a balanced team. We've had no run. Even Thielen didn't, although he won the Scottish Cup. That was papering over the cracks. We need a root and branch look at who runs Aberdeen Football Club from now on, don't we?
Aye, next year. Like, just that's beautiful, all that stuff. That's what you just said was good. But Leighton Clarkson wasn't getting enough games anyway. The man, he wasn't getting played enough, I thought. I think he should have been getting played more, but
yep.
Like Glenn mentioned Geiger, and he's brilliant. He's got all the Bundesliga experience. He might have to take. It's kind of funny. It's like he's got too much determination in a lot of ways. You need to make sure he stays the right side of a red card. But it'd be nice if you could sort of offset some of that, shave some of that off, and give it to some of the other boys that just they're swanning about the park. But yeah, I mean with Mitov, I would just do what Celtic did with Rob Douglas and just don't let the ball get anywhere near him. That's essentially what you need to do, because otherwise you're walking to the centre circle. That's a given. So yeah, just Milne has to step up and really, he's got to be the guy. And he's a class player, to be honest, even in good head and young shoulders. But he's absolutely got to step up and really command and get a bit of solidity there, because Mitov's, we can wish and all we want, but he's not going to provide that, sadly.
No, he saved a couple of penalty stops in the cup final, Glenn, but it's not. We need him to be playing more regular. Let's look at the fixtures then, because we've just mentioned one of the clubs, Kilmarnock. They're away to Hibs tomorrow. What do you think about that one? Do you think Hibs have got enough in the tank? What are they playing for? A top six, maybe? Do you think they can get it? And have Kilmarnock got much more to fight for?
I mean, Hibs they're guaranteed top six, but they're not on form. I mean, 3 draws in the bounce. Killie, they're scrapping. Killie, not so good away from home, so I'm not too sure if I were to say anything here. I mean, Killie, they're not out of this, but they're in a better run. I think three wins and a draw out of the last 6. I think they'll get another draw. I think they'll just keep accumulating points. A point at Easter Road will be good for them. I think it'll be 1-1.
1-1. Do you honestly think a draw would suit Neil McCann away from home at this time of the year? It's a dog eat dog.
Yeah, realistic though. He's playing the team sitting in the top 6 of the table. he'll be going for the win. I think, you have to. But
Yeah.
I think Hibs are quite hard to break down. A little bit blunt up top. Bowie's gone now. He blew hot and cold, but he was quality. So I think it will just be I think it'll be a draw. It'll kind of suit both teams. It keeps Killy going, and Hibs they're trying to chase down Motherwell, but we'll see.
What do you think, Chris? They're going to Hibs. It should be a full stadium because this time of the year, fans are wanting to see good football, and the weather's getting a bit better. Will that intimidate Kilmarnock, or do you think Hibs have got too much for them?
Well, I mean, Boyle's obviously Bowie's away, as Glenn mentioned. Boyle's, he's going to be away, so you'll question how much he'll be up for it. But I just with Dodds and McCann, and you're never really sure, but they seem to be quite an earnest bunch of guys that will, the old school pros and all that will just talk the right talk, and they've been there playing it and managing it as well at Rangers. So I definitely don't think Kelly will get beat. Definitely don't think so. I'm inclined to agree with Glenn and say one each.
One each.
That would suit. That would suit both of them. Hibs, but that would. I think one each.
I'm gonna stick my neck out here and go for a Killie win. I saw them play against Kilmarnock. Hearts, and I thought they ran them off the park. They moved into space. The second ball was always one. The duels were one. I don't know if it was just a Hearts bad day or Killie were really on song and they wanted to win that game at home. So I don't think Killie's going to get beat either. But I would put my fiver or part of my fiver on a Killie win just because they have to. I'd go 1-0 Killie because once they get that goal, if they get the first goal, they'll be hard to break down. They seem to be getting that way now. So I'm going to go Hibs 0, Killie 1. Motherwell Falkirk, that's on paper, that looks a classic, Glenn. Brilliant game, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it should be it. Motherwell playing with a bit more freedom. I mean, they played well all season anyway, but they went a little bit off rail. 2 defeats in a row, then a draw. There's no pressure on them anymore. I know they want to finish as high up as possible, etc. But they're not in the title race yet. So we'll see. I think this will be. Falkirk, will they bounce back? I think the last game they'll be disappointed with how it went. I mean, they created a few chances, but they just weren't their usual self. Whether that's because they weren't allowed to play, I don't know. Motherwell will let them play. Motherwell play a very open, expansive game, so Falkirk will be able to fit into that nicely. I think it'll be exciting. I think it'll be maybe a 2-2 score and draw. I don't think either one's going to win it. I think they'll be great to watch.
I think you're right, Chris. If you had to go to a match tomorrow, a local match, going down to Firhill might not be a bad option for these two teams.
I mean, just jump on the train now. I could actually get on the bike as part of my pre-match warm-up. The thing that surprises me is that I'm saying that both these teams are getting into the match without any form, any recent form behind them. That shocked me, the way they've come apart, really. Just a couple of 1-0 1-goal defeats really did surprise me, because I genuinely thought, and they still can, Motherwell can affect the title race, but I thought they would have been pushing harder than what they actually have. So I'm hoping it'll be a great game, and I'm going to go against the grain and say I think Falkirk might nick it. 1-0 Falkirk.
Oh, so 2 each to 1-0 to Falkirk, 0-1. What I like about both teams is their manager came out after the defeats, and both managers came out and said, "Yeah, we were unlucky. We played. There was so much we could have done. We were unlucky." So you can say the wheels have come off, but sometimes games can be like that. You can be very unlucky, you hit the post, and keeper makes great saves, and somebody slips and you get a goal. But I think that I don't think there's much between these two teams. I think they're defensively good. Falkirk can work their way from the back very well, and that's a toughie. I wouldn't put a fiver on this one, but I will say it's a draw. I'll go 1 each for a draw. What's the next one? Let's see. Rangers are playing Dundee United. It's a home game. I don't think Rangers are playing the most amazing football, to be honest, Glenn. Dundee United are coming on to a bit of form, beat Celtic. Do you think they can do the double?
No. But I think they could get a draw out of this.
Oh,
I think, look, Roll's starting to put, it's been good since Roll's come in. I mean, it's not been spectacular, I think he's got 16 wins, I think, something like that, since he came in. Of all the challengers, they're on the best form. 3 wins, 3 draws in the last 6. I think United will be up for this. They've got a very, very slim chance of making top 6, but it's not that. They don't want to get sucked into any dogfight or anything. They played well against Celtic. They've had the entire break to prepare for this in practice. So have Rangers, but a lot of the Rangers players have actually been away on international duty. So it's different kind of preparation. I think Dundee United will be fresher for this. I think they'll come in with a purpose, e.g., hard to break down. All the pressure is on Rangers. Rangers know if they win this game, they go top of the league because the other 2 don't play until the next day. Mm-hmm. So that's a huge thing, but it brings so much pressure. I don't think they'll actually respond that well to it. I think there'll be goals. I think it'll be 2-2.
Well, the new captain, Chris, Lucas Stevenson, since he's became captain, Dundee United have upped their ante. They've gone more forward. He's a kind of leader on the park as well as the captain. He's a very, he's a good communicator. He shouts quite a lot. They've got ambition, Dundee United, and they're wanting to go on this run. This could be a difficult game for Rangers.
Well, it's at home, so I think most of the games will be difficult for them. My heart was ruling my head when I said I thought Aberdeen would do something in that game, to be honest. But I was hoping they'd score an early goal and put a bit of pressure on. That was my hope. But at Dundee United, I mean, they beat Celtic, and then they dropped 2 goals in the last 2 minutes to Dundee. So you're thinking, they're definitely vulnerable. But Rangers are now racking up the performances, of at least getting the results. So I don't know. I would hope Dundee United would get a draw, but I suspect Rangers will niggle it out 2-0.
2-0. I'm going to. I don't know. The thing about the last game when they played Celtic, they dampened down all the Celtic efforts, and they made them really panicky, and Celtic couldn't get away through. And the structure of Dundee United, they've deceived to flatter or flatter to deceive, in the past. But now I think they've come on to a bit of form. And I think there's a momentum. I honestly think they can get a draw out of this. And if they do, that will knacker Rangers completely. It will take the wind out of their sails for the league. And I'm going to go 1 each. I think it'll be a tough game, a good game. 1 each for me. St Mirren Aberdeen. What? Chris,
this is the Cup Winners' Cup. That's what we'll call this.
Aye. Well, yes, indeed. Both have won a trophy. How do you see this one going, Chris?
I think it'll be hell for leather. Both teams just literally. I mean, it's an obvious point. They just literally want to win the game, and however they do that, then onwards and forwards. So I mean, if Gogic stays on the pitch and Geiger stay on, if both of them stay in the pitch, I'll not mention the Tiger, but I'd be surprised if both of them stay in the pitch. But I think this will be a cracker of a match in all the ways that the Motherwell Falkirk game will only be. So I'm hoping Aberdeen come alive, but I'll say 1 each. We definitely less than 22 men in the pitch.
Wow, 1 each, Glenn. Are you hopeful or more optimistic?
I think, oddly enough, I think Robinson's going to get the reaction, but I don't. I mean, if he gets the reaction that I think that he wants, this is not going to be a pretty game at all. This is going to be fairly brutal. He's going to want them to compete physically. He's wanting to put the tackles in, match them. He knows St Mirren inside out. He knows what these players are like. So that's why I think we're going to have not an advantage, but we're going to be well prepared for it because he'll know every individual player in that St Mirren team, and he'll match his team up well against them.
Yeah,
I think, I hope, I pray we've got enough. I'm going to go 1-0 Aberdeen.
Well, it was a 1-0 win last time.
Yeah, it was a cracking goal.
I know. You thought it was threading a needle. There was no way he could get the, but he did. He bent into the far corner.
Yeah.
But that was a last-minute thing. And remember, St Mirren got a good goal chalked off. It was slightly offside. I think Kieran Phillips had a header. So we're lucky. It's a tough place. I do agree that Robinson's got inside information on St Mirren. He'll know what the players are like and how they can cope with 90 minutes of football, and he might be able to create a team from Aberdeen to combat that. I hope he does. He talks very well after, to the media about Aberdeen, about the fan base and all the rest of it. And I think he might be warming to the fact that he has got a good squad of players who haven't, because Peter Levine was saying, the players haven't got no quality. But he's come in and says, we have good quality, we're going to use them, we're going to get them fitter. And he's put a bit more confidence in them. It'll be interesting after 2 weeks to see what the difference will be.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that Aberdeen have got enough in the tank to take St Mirren, because they have to. I'm going Aberdeen 2, St Mirren 0. And that'll put St Mirren down, and Aberdeen will breathe a wee bit. On Sunday, we've got Livingston Hearts. Now, this top versus bottom, Chris, but this could be a wobbler for Hearts, because if Rangers win the day before, it puts a wee bit of pressure on Hearts who have to play after that. What do you think?
Well, I know Livy have sort of turned around after Martindale went upstairs and Bartley came in. Well, stayed in. So they're capable. They're at home, artificial pitch. Then yeah, I don't know if Hearts will be nervous, because I believe it's only Stuart Finlay now that's out, and that wee Devlin, do you know what I mean? The wee Australian buzz bomb. He's back in it. I think Shankland's fit to play, but how fit he really is, is he really match fit? We don't know, but there will be pressure on them, and I think Livy will test them. But I feel that Hearts will nick the winner, maybe 2-1.
2-1. Glenn, what do you think?
At this point, has a penny dropped with Livingston that they're down, or they've still got fight in them? If they've still got fight in them, then yeah, they drew 2-2 with Rangers here. I think they will. I think Batley will have them still fighting for everything. They'll be up for it. But I think the key is just like Chris mentioned, that Shankland's back. He's the captain. He's their top goal scorer. They've missed him. Is he fit? Probably not match fit, but he will be physically fit. As the game goes on, I think he'll become more effective. And I think last time they played there, they scored an injury time winner. And I would say it's going to go the same way again. I think it'll be late on in the game and Shankland will score as he gets more and more into the game. I think, 1-0.
1-0. So it's going to be tight. I think if Cammy Devlin's back, he is a playmaker. He is a man that will chase every ball that's loose. He gets a bit into trouble for it, but if he keeps his head and stays on the pitch, he can turn that game for Hearts. I think they've been missing him over the last few weeks. Now that he's back, I think because he's in the team, I'm going to go 2-0 easy for Hearts. I don't think there's much left in the tank for Livingston, to be honest. I really don't. And last but not least, another cracker of a match, a beauty. Dundee are playing Celtic at Dens Park. So it's a home match for Dundee. I wouldn't put it past Dundee. What about you, Chris? How do you see this one going?
I mean, I think like the Celtic fans, they literally need to look over their shoulder. They have nightmares about being in Dundee, so they should be scared, really. I think Dundee are well out the relegation zone, so they can just play freely, and I think they will. So yeah, they keep saying that Celtic have been over the course, but when you actually look at the players, you've got maybe McGregor, Tierney, to an extent Ralston, but the rest of them, they've got the odd championship between them. So it's no as if there's a team with 7 of them have got this sort of, seen it, done it 3 or 4 times pedigree. So they should be worried. And I think this is the last chance to win for them. So I think they could scrape out a 2-1, a nervy 2-1.
2-1 for Dundee or Celtic?
For Celtic. I think Dundee should score, because Celtic are definitely low. They don't really know who their centre, their centre halves are really. They're not really 100% on that. So, 2-1 Celtic.
Glenn, when it comes to managers, we gave Stephen Presley a lot of stick at the start of the season because he was so, let's say, pessimistic about what he was going to do with his club. He wasn't going to win them trophies, he was saying, and all the rest of it. But it turns out he's been a first-class manager, getting a tune out of his team, but not just that. Attractive football, playing fast, not playing back the way, playing into space. And I think comparing to Martin O'Neill, who's old school football, he's not versed in this new style of football, and I think that's hampering Celtic right now. And he's leaving it to the players. He can be a motivational coach, but tactical, I think he's playing in an era gone past, and I think that's where Celtic have got to wake up. I'm honestly thinking Dundee could win this. Honestly, because of the way they've been playing, the way they're structured, the way they've got the men on the bench come on and do a job as well. It's a great team. And I would go home game, it's going to be 2-1 to Dundee, not Celtic.
Wow.
What do you think?
So Chris has went with Celtic 2-1. You went with Dundee 2-1. I was thinking 2-2. So we're covering all the bases. I think Dundee are playing well, and they're playing with a freedom. Presley was under a bit of pressure. They stayed with them. It's just like Hibs did with David, and they've been rewarded because the fans are really happy with what they're seeing. It's that the team have evolved into a decent outfit, and it's a nice brand of football. Celtic, well, I'm not impressed. It's not. You can say that he's an old school manager. And maybe he's a bit too safe, and he's not with the modern football times, etc. He's working with a squad of players that he's not actually put together. It's a squad of players that had a very modern manager from the MLS that tried all this and tried all that, and none of it worked. They've not reacted very well. He probably is playing it a bit safe. He's trying to guide them over the line. Celtic haven't reacted well. This is almost, I'm not saying last chance saloon because there's still quite a lot of games, but they're 5 points off the lead. They need to win here. So I think they'll win. They've got the quality to win, but they've not. That quality hasn't responded very well in previous matches. I don't think it will have the clinical edge. I think it'll be 2-2 and they won't get it over the line. But guys, before we go though, I know you're about to summarise. We still have one question to go, but I'll let you crack on, Nonny.
On the last thing, if you've enjoyed the show and you'd like to subscribe and share, would be appreciative of that. And of course, make a comment if you want as well. We always like these comments. I got one comment last week. It was a private message from somebody, and I can't remember their name. Just off the top of my head. And they were saying, can we not discuss the championship, the Scottish Championship, because it's so exciting. And the reason that we don't is because we've only got an hour. Unless we kind of stretched it out, we could maybe encapsulate it. But we do know that it is very exciting in the championship as well. And maybe we'll look at it in the weeks to come just to see the runners and riders. The other thing to mention is that Glasgow Warriors are playing a top of the class game at Scotstoun against the Bulls from South Africa. It's a top of the both. Glasgow are first, the Bulls are second. It's going to be a hell of a game. It's at 6:30 tomorrow. I think it's going to be live on Premier Sports. So if you've got a magic stick or something, you can see it there. And listen, we'll all be back to do it again next week. But thanks so much for watching. And Glenn, the last word goes to you.
Right, final question, guys. You can decide whether to leave it or not for next week. Okay, but which country? Right. Which country lost all of the World Cup qualifying matches, but will still be at this year's World Cup?
Or is it the holders? It must be the holders or the
Canada.
Because they get. It must be a holder. It must be the host country.
None of the hosts have any qualifiers.
Aye.
But what about the club that held it?
No,
from Qatar.
No, if you're the winners, you don't get back in. That would be
Argentina.
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 But no, it's not them either. So one country lost it. One country didn't win any of their qualifying matches, but yet they will be at the World Cup.
Is this because they drew all their matches and they go through and goal difference?
Played 4 matches, played 6 matches, lost 4, drew 2, finished bottom of their group.
Oh, bottom.
Yeah.
But
they will be at the World Cup,
right?
And not as fans.
Not selling programs or
No, they'll be playing.
So, which country lost all their matches in the qualifying campaign?
Well, won none. They lost 4. They drew 2. They finished on 2 points in 4th place, but they will be at the World Cup.
Who is it? We'll let that hang, and I'll put this out on social media so you can comment on this. But that's all we've got time for, guys. Really enjoyed the show tonight. We included a lot of daft stuff about Hearts and all the rest of it, but hey, it's a fun show, and that's what we're all about. All the very best, guys. Thanks a lot, and we'll catch up next week.
Thanks.
Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Yeah, indeed. Bye now.
Bye.